This podcast is certified fresh. Freshmediaworks.com.
Welcome to the Montgomery ISD Athletics Show, where each week we share conversations about everything that makes MISD athletics so great. Montgomery ISD, in partnership with families and community, will graduate all students with the knowledge, skills, and leadership necessary to thrive as productive and responsible citizens. Athletics play a vital role in student success, promoting physical and mental well-being while developing essential life skills like teamwork, leadership, and resilience that benefit students far beyond high school. The Montgomery ISD Coaches Show is fueled by EAG Automotive, East Texas's MVP since 1977. With 8 locations and a winning lineup of new and pre-owned rides, they bring the heat with hometown hustle and high-performance service. EAG Automotive, where East Texas drives to win.
With 60,000 fiber route miles across 20 states, we deliver reliable solutions. We prioritize customer service to build better relationships and a better Texas. Consolidated Communications. Let's build a better network.
All right, everybody, join me in welcoming Anthony Williams, the president of Connected Athletics. How you doing, Anthony?
I am blessed and feeling like a champion. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing wonderful. And I tell you, I'm so excited when Brad told me, hey, I want you to interview Anthony. I was like, sweet. I haven't spoken to you. Gosh, it's probably been, I don't know, 5-10 years, something like that. It's been a while. So walk me through the transition from when we first met, it was probably 15-20 years ago, of just doing camps to now you're doing so much more.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on the show, and big shout out to Brad LaPlante. He's involved in a lot of things I do. But when I stopped coaching in high school and college and enjoyed my son Aaron, who played at McNeil, obviously at University of Texas, when all my kids were done playing, I said, you know what, I still have a passion for teaching and developing and mentoring. And so right after Aaron played in the Army All-American game, I got involved with a company called Football University. And they are a national company that does camps all across the country, focused on position-specific technique, teaching players how to play the game the right way, how to be safe about it, and the importance of understanding technique, film study, and how football should drive you not just on the field, but off the field, as far as how you carry yourself in the classroom, in the hallways, on recruiting trips, and things like that. So I've really kind of dove my time and attention into that, going around the country, delivering camps, mentoring players, advising parents and things like that. And I love what I do with them.
I love that. Well, let's dive into some of that because you've touched on a whole lot of different areas there. So I guess what's the most important thing that you do?
The most important thing that I do is I allow God to direct me in how to help student athletes, because everybody's journey is different, Chris.
Yep.
And there's no cookie cutter way for recruiting or development or becoming a better young man. I am a believer that football, because of my testimony, helped me get my college degree, helped me get my graduate degree, helped me become a better husband, father, and person in my community. And so that's the angle that I look at it. It's kind of become my ministry. It used to be about winning. It used to be about championships. It used to be about, I coached this kid to play in the league. And now it's just about making sure these kids use football to enable themselves to get the best college education and be the best husband and father they can be down the road. And so I think that's what I do most is, yes, I love the football part. I love teaching and developing players to be something bigger than they ever thought they could be. But I also love making sure that we have a connection that when they get their degree, they call me to tell me, hey, coach, I graduated, or hey, coach, I'm getting married, or hey, coach, I'm having a kid. It's those kind of relationships that I feel like can really make a difference with kids as they go through the process, because when you're 18, you don't think about all that. Yeah. But after I've been coaching kids and being around them for so long, they call me back and say, coach, you really kept it real with me. You didn't let my attitude as a 17-year-old affect me now. Now I'm 30 years old and I'm super happy and trying to do the same things you taught me. So it's really about touching kids in a way that affects them on the field, off the field, and in their personal lives.
I love that. And in my 25 years of doing this, the phrase that comes back over and over, and I see every coach go through, is it goes from focusing on the X's and O's to the Jimmys and Joes, and that's
Absolutely.
what you're talking about. I
Yeah,
love that.
absolutely.
So let's talk about that development piece. How does connected athletics play into helping them develop, not just physically, but all the other things you talked about?
So Connected Athletics is a company that I started with my partners back in 2021. It's kind of the next level part of what I was doing with Football University. There are a lot of great players. You and I have seen a lot of them who have made it and done
Mhm.
very well, but most of them do not make it. And that I'm being an engineer, and because of my background, I love numbers. And the numbers say this, and I share this, and every time I talk with parents, players, booster club members, or whatever, there's 1 million high school student athletes, football players in the world, in the country every year. About 5% of them will play some level of college football, 5 to 7% based on what numbers you look at.
Mhm.
3% will play Power 5, Power 4, D1. And 1% of that 3 or 5% will play in the NFL. And we all know the average career in NFL is about 2.4. I think I've heard it drop down. It's around 3 years.
Yeah.
So you're looking at that. I always tell kids, you have a better chance of being the CEO at Samsung or Nvidia than you do at playing the NFL. So plan accordingly. Not to take away anybody's dreams, but bottom line is the numbers say alone that you're going to have better opportunities outside of football once you're done with it. So having that data, what I tell kids is you can be a really, really good high school player and not play in college. You could be a really, really good college player and not get drafted or not play. It doesn't define you. As I get older now, Chris, I remind kids football is something that you do. It is not what defines you as a man, as a person. So give it all you got. And then the main thing I tell student athletes and their parents is the skill set that makes you a great football player. If you can transition that skill set into the next thing once football is over, whenever that is, whether it's after high school, after college, or you have a 10-year career in the NFL, when it's over, you can take that great skill set because every HR director I talk to says we love hiring athletes because they understand adversity.
Yeah.
They understand working with a team. They understand meeting goals. And if they don't reach that goal, I know they're going to show up on Monday because they've been doing it since they were 5 years old. And so me and my team try and use Connected Athletics to teach these kids that you've got a gold mine of skill set and resources that are going to make you successful once you're done with the game or the game is done with you.
Love that. And let's jump into the recruiting side of things right now because there are a lot of pitfalls in recruiting. There are a lot of people out there trying to get in the middle of your recruiting struggle. You've got straight line recruiting with the UIL and the coaches, and then you've got street agents. Help me walk through that minefield and how you can help kids with that.
So I'm very familiar with straight line recruiting, and I get that. And I'm very familiar with the whole 7-on-7 circuit, and allow how these trainers now have gone from training athletes into forming 7-on-7 teams and taking these kids literally all over the state or all over the country
Yeah.
for exposure. I don't come down over one or the other. I just know that anybody that has a raw uh, goal of helping student athletes any way they can, I'm all for it. Now, when saying that, you gotta be careful. There's a lot of people that see these kids as a way to make money, and they'll tell and do anything for them with knowing, hey, I'm gonna get something on the back end, and that's not something about. So I always would warn players and parents, the thing that they can do best well, I'll say it this way, Chris. If a player gets a scholarship, it's because that player got them the scholarship. You may have gotten assistance along the way from your head high school coach, your assistant coach, your coordinator, maybe from your obviously from your parents, maybe from your trainer, your 7-on-7 guy. But no one person can say, "Oh yeah, I can get you a scholarship." At the end
Yeah.
of the day, your work ethic, your transcript, your tenacity, your athletic ability, and you understanding that character matters and how to handle yourself and present yourself on social media, which is a big part of recruiting, which we can get into. Those are the things that are going to earn you a scholarship. Everybody else, we're just trying to help you along the way. And anybody that says they can promise you or guarantee you, you and I know in our age now in life, there are no guarantees.
Right.
And so whatever you have, if you have a goal to play in college, make that your goal and then back up and meet the milestones and make that happen for yourself and be able to utilize the circle around you to utilize that. Be careful of people who say, if you give me X amount of dollars, I can get you a scholarship here. Be very wary of those kind of people.
Yeah, yeah. And talk about how the landscape has changed when it comes to recruiting, because like the transfer portal, that has changed recruiting drastically. And you know, give your feedback on that.
The transfer portal has been along longer than people realize. I'm just going to keep it real, Chris, because you and I know each other, and I'm not going to
Okay.
sugarcoat things. There are certain schools in college that were doing NIL back in the day when nobody knew about it. It was just under the table,
Right.
and they loaded up their roster with talent and they dominated. I am a proponent as a former college player of NIL. I believe that as good as I was as a coach in college, and as good as some of these top names across the country are as coaches, you're not getting 100,000 people to come in and watch you call plays with a headphone on. People are coming
Right.
to watch athletes make incredible plays at the highest of levels, just below the NFL. That's what's driving the revenue behind the sport. So to me, yes, these student athletes are getting a full college education, full college scholarship, but it is not taking care of. If we look at America, which is a capitalism, it's all about capitalism. They're generating a lot of money, Chris, and
Yeah.
I believe that they should be able to get some percentage of that. Obviously, my son Aaron played at Texas, and you go through the Texas bookstore and you see a number 12 jersey. Well, we know who that is. That's Colt McCoy. Oh, I see a number 10 jersey. I know that was Vince Young. So they sold all these jerseys, and somebody was generating a lot of revenue. And Colt and Vince and a lot of other players didn't see a penny of that.
Right.
Personally, as a NBA businessman, I have a problem with that. So to me, I am for NIL, that for name, image, likeness. If a player comes up with a shirt or a cap or shoes or whatever it is, they should get a percentage of that. If that student athlete has a small business where they take old tennis shoes and bring them up to them look like the latest Jordans, they should be able to keep that money. And so to me, that part of it's good. What I don't like about, and it's not really NIL, it's kind of more of these collectives and people
Yeah.
making deals on the side and getting back to the old SMU days. I'm uncomfortable with somebody saying, "Hey, I'm going to give this student athlete $4 million just to show up and play football." That is not how life works, and that's setting a bad precedence for that student athlete. That, hey, I can just do a sport or just be me and get paid all this money, and that's not how it is. And so there are a lot of different parts to it. We could probably spend a whole show just talking about NIL, but
Yeah.
as a baseline, I'm a proponent of it when they have the right procedures and policy in place. Right now, I still think the NCAA could do a better job of monitoring NIL so that's a fair. It definitely has leveled the playing field. I think you and I are watching college football now. You see a lot of teams beating a lot of Division I teams that normally they wouldn't do that. Well, because the kids at those sub FCS schools who should be at Division I schools or FCS schools or FBS schools are now playing there, and you got to show up and play every weekend now. And so I love that there's parity and it's giving the little guy a chance. But yeah, NIL and pay for play has been around since you and I back in the day, and
Yeah.
so nothing's going to change.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. So, just on recruiting though itself, and let me ask you this: are you primarily dealing with Texas athletes, or do you deal with athletes nationwide?
Connect Athletics, we do things nationwide, just as this football university does. I mean, we have clients in New York and Georgia, here in Texas, all over. There's a lot of people who have very talented. I'll say that parents and families have a lot of sons and daughters who are talented enough to play in college, but have no idea how the process works, and
Right.
figure, oh well, if my son just does well, has good grades, and plays good in their sport, that somebody will find them. That is not the case today. Social media, I would say the biggest part of recruiting right now is having an active social media profile.
Yeah.
Because before a coach ever calls you or calls your high school coach or watch your huddle video, guarantee that somebody's going to go look at your social media to see get an idea of who you are, what
Mhm.
you do, what you look like, what kind of athlete you are before you ever get a letter or anything like that. So one thing I would tell the audience, for the student athletes and parents that are out there, is some people embrace social media, some don't, but for recruiting, it's mandatory. And it doesn't need to be personal. It needs to be more professional. It should be an extension of who your son or daughter is. And really needs to be their online resume telling these coaches, this is what I'm about. Here's where I am. Here's what I do. Here's where to find me. And here's what I can bring to your university as a baseline.
Well, let's talk about you touched on the do's. Let's talk about some of the don'ts when it comes to social media.
Yeah, plenty of those.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't focus. I always tell kids this: focus on fit, not over clout. A lot of kids are posting stuff on social media that they think was going to drive clicks or likes or retweets and things like that. And that to me is a more personal thing. The other thing is post what kind of a teammate you are. Post that you love your family. A thing that a lot of families, Chris, that I deal with that don't understand is that coaches before they recruit you, they want to understand, well, do you care and love your family? Do you have respect for your high school coaches and all the people in your life that are helping you trying to make your dreams a reality? If you don't respect them, you're probably not going to respect my coaches who are only going to know you for during the recruiting time and while you're on university. So coaches looking to make sure that when they recruit an athlete, that they get a what we call a full 360-degree holistic view of that athlete. What kind of athlete they are, obviously, what kind of person they are. Do they care about their academics? Are they a good teammate? Do they care about character and integrity? All those things could be somewhat answered through your social media profile. And so the things I would say is don't post you at a party with a red cup in your hand, obviously. Don't post you throwing shade at some other player like, oh, I can't believe that guy got a scholarship. I tore him up in our last game last week. Be positive. Know that everything you put out there is written in pen and not pencil. You can't erase it. So I work in the digital world, and I can tell you that no matter what 6 months ago what I posted, even though I deleted it, it's that footprint is still out there. So parents and players need to be aware. Don't get into these beats on Thursday night before the game and how you're going to do this, that, so and so. Be positive in everything you do. Your social media should be your profile of you. Don't post it. Man, I really hate the way the coach called the plays. Be positive over everything else. And to me, don't use social media to throw shade at other teams or other players or other guys that get recruited or have offers. Keep it positive and understand that your recruiting process is different from everybody else's.
Yeah, definitely. So how does an athlete or is it the athlete's parents who reaches out to you? How do they get involved with what you're offering?
It's a little bit of both. Players hit me all the time on social media, text or email. Hey, coach, can you watch my huddle video? And I love huddle video. I love watching video. But the reality is, as a former college coach, is that is an appetizer. I always tell people recruiting is like eating at a good steakhouse. You can have the nice appetizer, but you're really looking forward to that entree, that nice steak, cooked medium rare, or however you like it, with onions or mushrooms or whatever. The huddle video is an appetizer. Of course, it's all your best plays.
Yeah.
But as a true coach, to truly evaluate players, I need to know how you were before that play and after that play. And was that play against low-level competition or was it against high-level competition? Was that play in the first quarter when you were nice and fresh, or was that play in the fourth quarter when guys were tired and forgetting assignments and worried about their elbow or their ankle, those kind of things. And so to me, I tell players I can look at your huddle video and it'll give me a snapshot. For me to truly evaluate what kind of player you are and your projection in the next level, I need a full game video against your best competition. If you played a Westlake, if you played a North Shore, if you played a South Lake Carroll or DeSoto or Duncanville, that when you show me you're playing against other guys who are also playing college, that's what really helps me evaluate you. When you're playing against a school that you're dominating, you're a 6'3" receiver and the cornerback over you is a 5'9", 150-pound, that doesn't impress me. Every coach, for players and parents that listen to this podcast, before a coach can offer you, I need to see that you're projecting, you're ramping towards up and to the right, that you'll make those same plays against other college level competition. Beating up on somebody that's not going to play in college does not impress me as a coach. And until I can check that box, I can't go to my coordinator or the head coach and suggest that we offer you a scholarship, because I don't know if your athleticism is only good when you're dominating lesser competition or it rises when you play better competition.
Definitely. And you've been, as we alluded to, involved with camps for forever. But there's some camps out there that are a total waste of time and money, and others that are good. How do athletes and parents determine
Yeah.
not waste their money on things?
Yeah, it's a great question, Chris. I advise parents all the time is here's how I break it down. This is just my opinion of it. Let's start at the end. The most important camp that any high school student athlete, football or boys or girls, needs to go to is that camp on site on campus at that college in front of those assistant coaches. Number one. So let's talk football. Football starting in the first week of June. All their college camps coming on. So I'll back it up. From January to May, I tell kids that is what we call the spring and summer evaluation. The camps you go to need to be preparing you physically, mentally, in every other way, so that when you get to the most important camp in June, You should have your technique down. You should have your, I call it the elevator pitch go. When you go up and walk up to a coach, shake his hand, look him in the eye, and tell that coach, this is why you need to recruit me. I'm going to bring X, Y, and Z to this university and this football program, and I want to be a part of a winning program, and I think I can help you with that. Those are things that you're doing. So in picking camps, parents need to understand there's a lot of camps out there, as you noted. The way you pick them is do your due diligence, treat it like you're buying a car or get a new mortgage on your house. How is that camp going to benefit my son between January and May to make sure that he's at his ultimate best in June in front of the people that have the power to offer him? If it's not that, if it's just about gear, if it's just about clicks, be careful about those camps because there's more of those out there. Camps need to be a couple things. Focus on your kid improving his technique, getting him exposure. And one of the more important things people forget about camps is you want to compete. Maybe you're in a district that the talent isn't that great. When you go to camps, there's kids from all over the state or all over the country. They're also trying to get looked at by certain schools and get more exposure. Go against elite competition because that is something you can put on your film to go, hey, the guy I was going with, he's committed to Ohio State and he's a 4-star cornerback rated in the country. And look what I just did to him. So those are kind of things. Do the research. The thing I would tell them is caveat emptor, buyer beware. If you go to a campsite and there's no name of the person who's running it and there's no background of who they are or where they've worked, to me, that's a red flag, and there's a lot of them out there. So just use your normal intelligence, do your due diligence, find out who, what, why, when, and where. I would actually tell parents to call them. Hey, if I bring my son to your camp, what can I expect? Who's going to be there, and what are the 3 things that's going to help him in his journey of trying to earn a college scholarship? If they can't answer that either through email or through a phone call, I would say, buyer beware. Usually those are the camps that are just trying to get kids there, give them a shirt, give them a Subway sandwich, and be on their way.
Right. Yeah. Well, gosh, Anthony Williams, I want to thank you so much. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of questions, and I will probably be talking with Coach LaPlante about a follow-up one because there's so much we didn't have time to cover. But Thank you for sharing all your info.
Yeah, no worries. And if anybody has any questions about what me and my team are doing, development-wise, you can go to footballuniversity.org and find out information about the upcoming camps here in 2026. If you want to get more customized help in your son or daughter's recruiting, go to connectedathletics.org. What we do there is instead of us telling you what we do and how much it costs, we want to hear your story. We want to hear what pains are you having in the recruiting process? What do you don't know? What do you need to do to maximize your son or daughter's experience? And then as we hear where you're at in your journey, then we can apply what we do in our services. We have 3 core services, Chris: academics, athletic development, and IQ assessment in your sport, and then social media, personal branding. So between those 3 things, we customize a plan to help student athletes better manage their entire journey through the whole process. So so they can reach me on that. They can reach me at awilliams@connectedathletics.org or reach out to me on Twitter, awilliamsusa.
Love it. Thank you.
Hey Coach, Lone Star Gridiron has been the leader in Coach's Show podcasts for 20 years, and now you can get your own Coach's Show podcast each week during the season as a fundraiser for your booster club. Yes, booster clubs all over are using these podcasts to help their sports programs. You get to share the stories of your program and your kids to a huge audience and make money. We started with just football, but this year have expanded to make them available for all sports. Call 713-269-4620 to find out the details and get your Coach's Show started.